Every beer and cider label has ABV, alcohol by volume. But how do you actually check that number? Let's walk through it step by step and you'll see that it's much easier than you think. But before we can test a beer, we first need to calibrate the GC, and we're going to do that using calibration standards. These are ethanol and water at known percentages, and this is so the GC has a scale to measure against. We're going to start with a 10% solution. This is made from 1 part of ethanol and 9 parts of water. From there, we're going to step down 1 to 9 each time to make 1% and a 0.1%. Now we're going to fill in the middle points. We're going to make a 5% by mixing equal parts of that 10% with water, 0.5% by having the 1, 0.05% by having that 0.1, and finally 0.01% by one more 1 to 9 dilution from the 0.1. By the end, we've got a complete ladder from 0.01 to 10%. This covers the alcohol levels you'd expect to see in beer and cider. Now, each dilution is going to go into its own vial with a clear label. We're going to use a new pipette tip every time and make each dilution in a fresh container to keep everything accurate. You don't pour anything back into your stock solution. Once it's out, it stays out. And when you're done, you're going to have a neat set of standards from 0.01 up to 10%, which covers the alcohol levels you'd expect to see in beer and cider. Now for the sample, this part's easy. You're going to open it up and get rid of the bubbles by pouring it back and forth between 2 flasks until the foam settles down. This is called degassing, and it stops the CO2 bubbles from messing up the injection when it goes into the GC. Now, if your beer or cider is cloudy, you can also give it a quick filter, but most of the time, degassing is all you're going to need. After it's degassed, you're going to take a small amount, transfer it into a clean vial, and cap it. That's it. Because this is a direct injection method, there's no chemicals, no extraction steps. It's literally just your drink straight into the GC. Now, let's talk about what that GC is actually doing and the method we're going to use to run it. So gas chromatography is really just a way of separating out different compounds that are in your sample. The injector heats the sample to a vapor, and that vapor travels into a column in an oven. Each compound then comes out at a different time. Ethanol always comes out early, so it reaches the detector as a sharp peak. Now for the method, we're going to have the oven start at 100 degrees C, and it's going to hold here briefly. Then it's going to ramp up at 20 degrees C per minute until it reaches 170 degrees C, where it holds for another minute. The injector is kept at 250 degrees C, and the detector is at 300 degrees C. We're going to use hydrogen and air feeding the flame in the FID detector. Now, you don't need to remember all these numbers. The important thing is that every sample runs the same, so your results are consistent and repeatable. Now, with that method set, the next step is to calibrate the GC. This is where we teach the GC what those different alcohol levels look like. So we're going to load our standards into the autosampler and run them from the lowest concentration to the highest. Now, if you don't have an autosampler, you can inject them manually using a syringe. You're going to drop around 1 microliter into the syringe and inject that directly into the inlet and start the run. Starting low helps check for carryover, and building up makes sure the curve is accurate across the whole range. Each standard gives a peak, and the software plots those peak sizes against the known concentrations. The result is a straight line, your calibration curve. That curve is the ruler. It's what lets the GC turn a peak into an actual ABV. Next, we're going to run the beer. So you're going to put your beer or cider vial into the autosampler or inject it by hand. The GC does the rest. When the ethanol comes out, it shows up as a peak. The software measures this, checks it against the calibration curve we made, and works out the ABV. This is the same number you would put on your label. So this whole process is really simple. You make your standards, get your samples ready, calibrate the GC, run the beer. In just a few minutes, you've got a reliable ABV result that you can trust. And once you've seen how easy this is to do, you can bring this in-house. But ABV testing is just one application gas chromatography can be used for. This same technique can be used to measure flavor compounds, track off flavors like diacetyl, and even monitor nitrosamines, something the industry is starting to pay more attention to. Now, if you found this video useful, please give it a like and subscribe for more. And let us know in the comments what analysis you'd like to see us do next. Thank you for watching.